y'all, it's Talia, and today I will be sharing the top books I want to get to in 2021. So, one of my goals in 2021 is reading more books on my shelves. If you saw from my first video, I have about 175 books that I've not read yet, which is a really big number. I really want to minimize that. With that, I want to unhaul ones that I'm no longer going to want to read, but then I also obviously want to read the ones that I haven't yet. So, on my right, your left, is a pile of books that I want to read. A few of these are rereads, but most of them I have not read. So, without further ado, let's jump in. So, in no particular order, the first book I have is Speed by Myra Grant. I first heard about this book a couple months ago. It's basically about a world where there's a pandemic. I believe people start to become like zombies or zombie-like figures, and it's just basically about the way that this group of characters survive and what happens to them in the world. I believe this is a trilogy. I only have the first book, but I am really excited to pick this up. I haven't really read a lot of apocalyptic novels recently, but I'm kind of interested in that because it's kind of thriller, horror, but also with a fantastical element to it. Actually, I don't even think it's fantastical anymore. Like, things like this can happen. Area 51, I bet we have already found extraterrestrials. I bet. But yeah, so this is one of the books that I want to read in 2021. This is a manga, which is Haikyuu. This is volume 5. At the moment, I have volumes 1 through 16. I'm missing volume 8. But this is one of my favorite animes, and with that, I decided that I want to pick up the manga. Anime is left off on season 4, and so I just want to catch up to that before the next season comes out, and hopefully read the novels first before I watch the show. About a group of volleyball players. Mangas and the anime go about looking at each character, so it's not just about one. But the two main characters, I guess, or the ones that the series focuses on more, are Hinata and Kageyama. They're like these middle school rivals that go on to the same team in like the high school setting. I really love the anime. I'm loving the manga from the ones that I've read, so I just want to keep continuing this in 2021. Up next is another manga, and that is Black Butler. I read the first two, this is the third one, and I really enjoyed it, surprisingly. It follows a boy who has like a symbol on his eye, and he has the power to like control a demon, which is the butler. That spans like the following day, and so much happens. Like, I don't even know a main storyline, and I don't want to say at the part that I'm at right now because I was very surprised when I read it. But I'm really enjoying this, so I just want to keep on reading it. So this is another one that I want to continue. Up next is actually a reread, and that is Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This book, when I first got it, it was years ago, and there was only one out. I believe there are 9 books in this series. It is a middle grade, and it follows this girl named Sophie. One day she finds out that she's actually an elf, so she leaves the human world and goes to live with the elves and find out about her magic and what happened to her as a child and everything. And I love this book so much. It just, unfortunately, the series wasn't out when I was reading it, and then I just moved on to other things. And though it is a middle grade, which I'm not a particular fan of reading anymore just because it is a younger style of writing, I really want to find out what happens in the story. So I have the first 2 books. Hopefully, if I enjoy them when I'm reading them, I'll pick up the rest. But this is a book that I want to reread. So I want to read more nonfiction, and one of the books that I want to read is The Freedom Writer's Diary. I actually watched the movie first, and I fell in love with the movie and the story, and when I found out that it was based off of a true story, I was so excited. It is about a teacher who works at a school in like a rougher part of the city. She basically meets these kids that are very troubled, and many of them are in the gang lifestyle, and she wants to help them. And it kind of goes off of them experiencing their world and letting her know. But this is all written in diary formats, so all of her students, or at least most of them from what I can tell, wrote entry diaries in here, and it's about their lives, and the movie was done really well. I'm super excited about this and to read about these life-changing stories. Next is The Good Luck Charm by Helena Hunting. It's about this girl and boy who, when they were younger, they were dating and then they grew up and they broke up. The guy, he's a hockey player and he believes that she is his good luck charm. So he wants to get back with her, but then she finds out that he's only using her for luck, and it's kind of about their story. I'm really interested to see how I like this book because I liked her other writing. But I really want to read this because when I get in a romance mood, I'm pretty sure she's going to be a go-to author for me. Up next, I have The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This book, I actually have no idea what it is about. One of my favorite booktubers, Peru's projects, so Reagan, she actually read this book in one of her vlogs and she absolutely loved it. And I actually have this book and one more of his works. And I really want to read it. I really want to get more into literature. It takes place in Barcelona in 1945. And I do go on like a history kick. I do love historical fiction. So I'm hoping that I'm going to love this book and I'm excited to get to it. Next, I have a YA book, and that is I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick. And we'll be honest, I bought this as a cover buy because look how gorgeous it is. It is all blue, but it is a YA thriller. And since I've been mostly in a thriller mood lately, I thought I would pick this up and try it. It's about a girl named Anna, and she moves into this town where apparently a girl named Zoe Spanos is missing and or murdered. And they have a striking resemblance, and then all of a sudden Anna thinks that she had something to do with it. I don't want to read too much more of the synopsis because I do like going into thrillers blind, but I'm super excited to get to this. Along with that YA thriller, I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book has been going around BookTube quite recently. About this girl who has a project, and her project is reporting about a murder. A boyfriend killed his girlfriend and then killed himself. Everyone in their town thinks that he did it, but she does not believe. Really want to get to this book soon. I actually bought this for my sister, but she never ended up reading it. So I really want to get to this soon and figure out the mystery. Girl, I'm recording. Bye, Felicia! So the next book is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. This book is about an officer, a thief, and a refugee. And basically this follows like a post-apocalyptic-esque world where in the last days there was promised hope of prosperity, but now everything is just kind of industrial and I feel like it's kind of like a steampunk, but don't quote me on that. But I don't know too much about this, but I really want to get back into fantasy and sci-fi. I haven't read a lot this year. I've been kind of straying away from it, but I do want to get back into it, and this one sounds really interesting, so I'm hoping to pick this up soon. Next, I have Crave by Tracy Wolff. Okay, so I was a huge Twilight fan. I still love Twilight. I know it's so cheesy, and I always make fun of the scene where Edward sees Bella and then she's like, she breathes really heavy. I find that so funny. But I haven't really read a lot of vampire novels since then. I feel like there aren't a lot out there. There's this vampire novel, and look at the cover. Does it not remind you of Twilight? They 100% did that so Twilight people would pick this up. And look, I'm a sucker and I did it too. But I do want to get to this just because it is vampires. I believe this girl goes to like a boarding school and she has to like protect vampires of some sort. I also love boarding school settings, so hopefully I'll like this book. Up next, I have another sci-fi. This is a pretty famous one. This is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I actually did start it. I got to page 61, but then I put it down. I really love the premise. So, basically, in this society, everything is controlled by what color you are in your society. So I believe there's like golds, reds, maybe blues. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. Ever since the main character, Darrow, is little, they said that they have to keep mining because reds are miners. And in order for the world to become better, they have to keep mining, have to keep surviving. But it turns out that they were lying. Apparently, like decades ago, years ago, the world actually became a better place. And the upper class, like the golds, have just been using reds. So it's about Darrow trying to infiltrate the golds and changing the world, because obviously what they're doing to the Reds is unfair. I really like the concept of it. It is a very hard sci-fi. I think the last time I read it, I was just too young to really understand, but hopefully I can pick this up again, and hopefully I can like it. My brother really loves this series. He says it's one of his favorite series. Up next, I have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I want to read a lot of Schwab's book, hopefully in 2021. I do have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I really loved her Darker Shade of Magic series. That's like one of my all-time favorite series, and I just want to read this one. I believe it's a duology, but it may be becoming a trilogy. It's about these friends named Victor and Eli, and they do like the science experiment and figure out how to kill people and then bring them back to life, and then they have like supernatural powers. But then after they find out, I believe this book spans 10 years into the future, and one of them comes back from jail, and it's about them becoming friends to enemies and trying to figure out who's the better the person or something like that. I'm not really sure what the premise is, but I'm really excited to read more of V.E. Schwab because I really do like her writing. So this is one of the books that I want to read from her. Up next, I have another sci-fi, and with this sci-fi, it's actually princess retellings with it, and that is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I actually read the first and second book, but I didn't continue on with the series. But I want to reread the series and finally finish Cress and Winter. I really liked it when I read it. Cinder, with the classic slipper missing, she actually has a whole foot. Like, she has half a foot that's robot. I can't remember if she's completely robot or not, but I really liked this book when I read it, so I just want to pick it up again and then continue on with the series. The last book that I have is the biggest book, and that is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I really enjoyed Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. I still have not finished that series, but I do want to jump into this book since the fourth book has come out. But it is a monster. You could use this as a weapon. Like, if someone comes into my house and I need to fight them, I will pick this book off of my shelf. But I also can't tell you what this book is about. I know it's a adult fantasy. It has lots of kings and multi-POV, which I do have trouble with POVs because I tend to like one point of view of a character over the other. But I really do want to read this series. My brother also really enjoyed it, and I just, if I just get through one book from a series, like a year, I'd be happy. So I really want to get to this one as well. So with that, that was the last book that I want to get to. I have so many more books that I want to get to as well. As you can see, I couldn't limit it to just 10. If I could, I would put all 175 books on here. But that would be a long video. So those are just the top ones that I want to make a priority in 2021. I am planning on doing a mid-year TBR wrap-up and show you how many books left that I have. I have hauled books recently. You'll see that in a video in February. It will be on the list as well. But as for now, those are just the books that I want to get to soon. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.